Stand on the shore of the Bosphorus today, and you're standing at the exact point where Europe ends and Asia begins. Two continents, one narrow strait, one city that has controlled the crossing between them for over 2,600 years. It has been conquered by Crusaders, besieged by Arabs, sacked by Latins, and finally broken by Ottoman cannons. It was the capital of a Christian empire for 1,000 years. Then, in the space of a single Tuesday, everything changed. The year is 657 BC. A Greek colonist named Byzas sails from Megara looking for a new settlement. He consults the oracle at Delphi, who tells him to settle opposite the blind. Byzas finds a peninsula on the Bosphorus where a Greek colony, Chalcedon, already sits on the Asian shore. He looks at them and shakes his head. They settled on the wrong side. The European promontory across the water has a natural harbor so perfect it will one day be called the Golden Horn. Byzas plants his city here and names it Byzantium after himself. For the next 9 centuries, Byzantium is a prosperous but unremarkable Greek city. The Persians take it. The Spartans take it. Alexander sweeps through. The Romans absorb it, just a useful trading post on the water. Then a Roman emperor in crisis looks at it differently. The year is 324 AD. Constantine has just won a civil war. He's sole ruler of the Roman Empire, and he needs a new capital. Rome feels wrong, too far from the frontiers, too steeped in the old pagan traditions he's moving past. He finds Byzantium and immediately understands what Byzas understood 7 centuries before. The peninsula is a natural fortress. The Golden Horn on one side, the Sea of Marmara on the other, the Bosphorus at the tip. An army can only approach from the west across a narrow land bridge. He lays out his new city in 330 AD on the exact model of Rome. 7 hills, a senate, a forum with a column bearing his own statue. Still stands today in the middle of Istanbul. He calls it Nova Roma. Everyone else calls it Constantinople. Within 2 generations, it's the most important city in the world. By 395 AD, the Roman Empire is split in 2. The western half collapses within 80 years, but Constantinople keeps going. The Eastern Roman Empire, what historians will later call the Byzantine Empire, carries the flame of Rome forward. At its peak, Constantinople is staggering. 500,000 people inside the walls. Aqueducts carrying water from 50 miles away. A hippodrome seating 100,000 people where chariot racing fan factions, the Blues and the Greens, function essentially as political parties. In 532 AD, the factions unite against Emperor Justinian. Riots engulf the city. Half of Constantinople burns. Justinian, reportedly ready to flee, is talked out of it by his wife, Theodora, who tells him the purple is a fine burial shroud. He stays. He unleashes his generals. 30,000 rioters are killed in the hippodrome in a single afternoon. Then Justinian rebuilds. On the ruins of a burned church, he commissions Hagia Sophia, the Church of Holy Wisdom. 10,000 workers, 5 years, a dome so enormous that engineers had no mathematical framework for understanding how it stayed up. When it's completed in 537 AD, Justinian walks in and reportedly says, "Solomon, I have surpassed you." For nearly 1,000 years, it is the largest cathedral on earth. Constantinople's walls are the wonder of the ancient world. The Theodosian walls run 4 miles across the land approach, an outer moat, a lower wall, and an inner wall up to 40 feet high. No army breaches them from the outside for over 1,000 years. They need to be that strong. The Avars and Persians besiege it in 626. They fail. Arab armies besiege it in 674 and again in 717. They fail. The defenders use Greek fire, a terrifying incendiary weapon that burns on water. Byzantine ships spray it through bronze tubes. The Arab fleet burns in the harbor. Each failed siege makes the city more legendary. You can't take Constantinople. It's a fixed law of the universe. Inside the walls, a culture flourishes that doesn't exist anywhere else. Scholars copy Greek manuscripts that would otherwise be lost to history. Aristotle survives the Dark Ages because Byzantine monks kept writing. Diplomats from across the known world come to Constantinople and can't believe what they're seeing. Then comes 1054, the Great Schism. The Christian church splits in two. Rome and Constantinople exchange excommunications. It seems like a theological argument. It will have catastrophic military consequences. In 1095, Pope Urban II calls for a crusade to reclaim Jerusalem. Byzantine Emperor Alexios I, facing pressure from the Seljuk Turks, had asked for a few hundred mercenary knights. What arrives is an army of tens of thousands. Alexios ferries them across the Bosphorus as quickly as possible before they sack his city instead. The relationship between Constantinople and the Latin West is poisonous from the start. The Byzantines see the Crusaders as barbarian thugs. The Crusaders see the Byzantines as treacherous, scheming half-pagans. In 1203, the Fourth Crusade goes catastrophically off the rails. An army headed for Egypt ends up at Constantinople's walls instead, supposedly to restore a deposed emperor. In April 1204, when the restored emperor can't pay what he promised, they do what no foreign army has done in 8 centuries. They breach the walls. 3 days of looting so thorough that Constantinople never fully recovers. The 4 bronze horses that today stand in St. Mark's Basilica in Venice were stolen from the Hippodrome. Centuries of accumulated treasure, art, and manuscripts are loaded onto Venetian ships. The Byzantines retake Constantinople in 1261. But the city they reclaim is a ghost of what it was. Population halved, economy shattered. The empire that once stretched from Italy to Mesopotamia is now just a city and a few scraps of territory. The walls still stand, but the civilization inside them is hollowed out. The Ottoman Turks have been grinding down what remains of Byzantium for 100 years. By the early 15th century, Constantinople is essentially an island. Ottoman territory surrounds it on all sides. The population has shrunk to maybe 50,000, less than a tenth of its ancient peak. Grass grows in the forums, emperors beg the West for help, offered troops in exchange for reuniting the Orthodox and Catholic churches. The people of Constantinople refuse. They'd rather have the Ottoman turban than the Latin cardinal's hat. The bitterness of 1204 runs that deep. In 1451, a 21-year-old sultan comes to power. Mehmed II has wanted Constantinople since he was a child. He studies the walls obsessively and commissions a cannon unlike anything the world has seen, firing stone balls weighing half a ton, requiring 200 men and 60 oxen to move. On April 6, 1453, Mehmed's army arrives. 80,000 soldiers, over 100 ships. Against them, the last Byzantine Emperor Constantine the XI has perhaps 7,000 defenders. He sends envoys across Europe begging for help. Help doesn't come. He tells his men, "I am your emperor. I am ready to die for my faith, my city, and my people." For 53 days, the city holds. Then, just before dawn on May 29th, 1453, Ottoman troops find a small gate left unbarred in the confusion. They pour through. Emperor Constantine the XI tears off his imperial regalia and charges into the fighting. His body is never identified. Mehmed rides through the gates and goes directly to Hagia Sophia. He dismounts, picks up a handful of earth, and pours it over his turban, a gesture of humility before God. He walks inside and orders it converted to a mosque. The bells are removed, the mosaics plastered over, the cross comes down. An empire that traced its lineage directly to Augustus Caesar is over. Mehmed understands what he's inherited. He doesn't burn Constantinople, he repopulates it. Greeks, Armenians, Jews, people from across his empire, and turns the half-empty city into a living capital again. The Grand Bazaar, still one of the largest covered markets in the world, opens in 1461. Within 50 years, Constantinople is the largest city in Europe again. Under Suleiman the Magnificent, it becomes the capital of an empire stretching from Hungary to Arabia. Suleiman's chief architect Sinan builds the Suleymaniye Mosque, completing in 1558 a skyline that still takes the breath away today. For the next 4 centuries, the city hums. When Jews are expelled from Spain in 1492, they're welcomed here. Greek merchants, Armenian craftsmen, traders from every corner of the world operate in its markets. Messy, multilingual, impossible to put in a box, but empires age. European powers pull ahead in technology and military power. Territories are lost one by one. The Ottoman Empire earns a new nickname, the Sick Man of Europe. The First World War finishes the job. The Ottomans back the losing side. By 1918, Allied warships are anchored in the Golden Horn. Out of the wreckage comes Mustafa Kemal, Ataturk. He fights a war of independence and wins. In 1923, the Turkish Republic is declared. And then he makes a decision that surprises everyone. He moves the capital to Ankara, Constantinople. Capital of someone's empire for 1,600 uninterrupted years is no longer a capital at all. In 1930, it's officially renamed. The name Istanbul, likely from a Greek phrase meaning into the city, has been used alongside Constantinople for centuries. Now it's made official. The Roman name is retired. In 1934, Ataturk converts Hagia Sophia into a museum. For 80 years, it stands open to all faiths. In 2020, it becomes a mosque once more. The circle turns. The building that has seen everything still stands, as it has for almost 1,500 years. Stand on the Galata Bridge today and look in any direction. The minarets of the Blue Mosque, the dome of Hagia Sophia, the medieval Genoese tower behind you, fishermen dangling lines into the same water that has fed this city for 2.5 millennia. 16 million people live here now. Over 300 languages spoken. Ancient markets beside glass towers. A city that has been Greek, Roman, Christian, Ottoman, and Turkish. That has been the center of empires and forgotten backwater and everything in between. Constantinople survived Persian sieges, Arab fleets, Crusader swords, and Ottoman cannons. Every time it was supposed to disappear, it refused. Every time the world moved on, it moved with it. Messy, magnificent, absolutely impossible to ignore. And it's been that way for 2,600 years. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey through Constantinople's history, hit like and subscribe. And let me know in the comments what city you'd like to see next. History lives in every grain of the hourglass. We'll see you in the next era.